Hi, I'm Liv, and today I'm going to be reading books that my subscribers have recommended for me. Recently I did some polls on YouTube and I asked what books I should read, so I picked a dark romance, a romance and a fantasy book. So the ones that we have got picked are Archer's Voice, The Sinner and Caraval. So excited for all of these, like I've been wanting to read these books for ages, so these are the books I'm going to be reading. Archer's Voice and Caraval both got 56%, The Sinner got 62%. So I'm really excited to read these books. They've been on my TBR for ages and I know virtually nothing about them. I know that Caraval obviously is a big fantasy series, and that is a 3-book series before, 3 books and now a novella before the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. We've got Archer's Voice, which is apparently quite emotional and really romantic, and then we have The Sinner, which is the 2nd book in the Lord series, which is a big dark romance, which I love a dark romance. I don't know which one I'm going to start with. I feel like maybe The Sinner or Archer's Voice. I don't want to run into a fantasy because I've just finished a fantasy world, so I just finished ACOTAR, so I don't really want to go into a fantasy again. I feel like I need something new because fantasies can burn you out a little bit and get you into a reading slump, and I don't want to be in a slump right now. I'm really curious about Archer's Voice, so probably Archer's Voice actually. I think it's by Mia Sheridan and I'm really excited for it. I know virtually nothing about it. I've just got the book down, so this is Archer's Voice. It is also on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm probably going to swap between this and my Kindle just to spice it up. So this is what it looks like. This is a love story, Archer's Voice. Let's talk about the back of it. I wanted to lose myself in the small town of Pelion, Maine, to forget everything I had left behind. The sound of rain, the blood, the coldness of a gun against my skin. For 6 months, each breath has been a reminder that I survived, and my dad didn't. I'm almost safe again, but the moment I meet Archer Hale, my entire world tilts on its axis and never rights itself again. Until I trespass into its strange, silent and isolated world, Archer communicates with no one, yet in his whiskey-coloured eyes, something intangible happens between us. There's so much more to him than just his beauty, his presence, or the way his hands communicate with me, on me. But this town is mirrored in secrets and betrayals, and Archer is the explosive centre of it all. So much passion and so much hurt, but it's all in Archer's silence that we might just find what we need to heal and to live. I'm nervous for this book. I know that Archer's mute in this book, but I don't know why, and I know virtually nothing apart from that loads of people have cried at this book, but hopefully I enjoy it. So I'm going to start today. The writing doesn't look particularly small, so I'm thinking 20 pages, see what I feel, and hopefully read a bit more if I enjoy it. Oh my god, I said I was gonna read like 20 pages, maybe 50. I've nearly read half the book. I can't believe I've read so much, and I don't even think it's been that long. I think it's maybe been like 3 hours or so, but I've like literally almost read half this book. It's really good. So I wouldn't say it's like a traditional romance. I'd say it's definitely more of a the way I am now, the way I used to be sort of romance. If you haven't read those books, you won't know what I'm on about, but more of like they're both healing, they've both been through things. So we've got our main character Bree, and that's who we've mainly been following. We've had Archer's perspective 4 times, twice when he was 7, once when he was 14, 4 times actually, because then we also saw one of him now. We find out about him and his dynamic with the town and how they all kind of think he's a weirdo and a loner, and we're finding out about medical stuff and why he doesn't talk and basically why he can't talk. Bree has reasons to how she can talk to him, and it is so sweet, and to me it's just giving like this is a sign that you two are meant to be able to talk to each other. I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's good. It's definitely different to any other book I read before, definitely different to every single romance. Oh my god, I look appalling. I'm at page 171 and I have a really bad feeling about Travis. So we've seen so much of Bree and Archer and they are so cute together. Archer truly was like somebody who was ignored his whole childhood, and he still is, and people just see him as like a hermit, somebody they can't communicate with. They all think he's deaf, which he's not, and there's just so much about Archer's past that we don't know about yet as well, so you're kind of learning about that as you go along, which I do like. Archer has started opening up to Brie, which is everything. It's so amazing, and it's making me emotional, like so emotional. This book has spice in it, like this book has some spice which I did not expect, and right now it's hitting everything. It's hitting all the marks. I'm really liking this book. Right now I feel like the bad thing's gonna happen. I've got a really bad feeling about Travis, and something has happened with Travis. I don't trust him. I'm a mess. I didn't expect that to happen. I'm just like sobbing. I just didn't expect it to happen. It's like actually utterly broken. We have now progressed to headphones because Sam is going to watch something on TV whilst I finish some more of this book. I'm at the halfway point. Food time. I'm at the halfway point and I'm a wreck. I've cried 3 more times. Finding out the truth about Archer's mum, and Archer's just, he's not incapable of anything. He's able to do everything. He's so smart, and he's just not experienced life though. That's the only thing. Like, he's literally never left his house since he was like 7 years old. Read so much. This big ass chunk I've read today. I actually think I could finish this book today, and I might because I'm so invested. Like, I don't want to rush it. I'm not rushing it, I'm just really enjoying it, so I'm just flying through it. It's such an easy read. Finished the book. I read this whole book in one day. That is insane. I haven't done that in a long time. I really enjoyed this book. I can't even put it into words. I want to give it a 5-star, but then something in me is like, is it though? Like, you need to take time to think about this. When I think about the book as a whole, honestly, I can't help but give this a 5-star. The journey that we saw these 2 people go on was amazing. It's honestly absolutely beautiful, and I don't know words for this book. I also got the book with the exclusive extended epilogue, which was seeing one of the chapters from Archer's point of view, and that was actually brilliant. And we saw it after everything had happened, so we'd seen everything happen, all the problems, all the good stuff, and my heart was, it was everything. If you can tell from my reaction, I really enjoyed that book. I was crying and everything. Like, there is some big stuff that happens just before the ending, and there were so many shock twists that I did not expect and did not see coming. So when they happened, I was an absolute mess. I was crying, my makeup is all a ruin. Did write loads of love hearts in this book, but I am obsessed with this book. If you're gonna read this book, it will rip your heart out and put it back together. Quick little things that I said, we're gonna be like spoiler stuff, so again, if you're going to watch this bit, this may not spoil the book, but you won't have like a blind opinion on this book if you listen to this bit, so skip forwards. This book doesn't have a happy ever after. It's a HEA book, and it is a very beautiful story. It's not your typical romance. It's definitely got a lot of layers to it, and there's a lot of character building and experiences and these people growing as people. I don't know if I would have read this otherwise. Like, I feel like I would have kept putting it off, because you do, when you don't hear a lot about a book, you kind of put it off, but I'm so thankful I read this. I just read it on a whim today, and I absolutely adore this book. These 2 are probably one of my favourite book couples ever. Hello, it's the next day, and I just wanted to do a little last update for Archer's voice, because I can't stop thinking about it, which really truly shows me that it is a 5-star. At the centre, because, oh, did I not return Where's Molly? Don't think I returned Where's Molly. I also downloaded Archer's voice because I thought I would read it on here. Return to Kindle Unlimited. Dark college romance. It's got, oh, I don't know how many pages there are. It's a bit weird. I need to charge this in a minute. Okay, this book has 638 pages. I have read the previous book, which was The Ritual. These books, by the way, are by Chantal Tessier. It says that this book takes 12 hours 46 minutes to read. We shall see. It may take me a lot longer. Don't know yet. I was raised in a world where money and power are at your fingertips. My father is a lord, a very respected member of a secret society that knows no bounds. When tragedy struck my family, we discovered we weren't untouchable. Just when I thought life couldn't get any worse, I was shown what hell is really like. Then he came and saved me. The devil disguised as my personal hero. But of course nothing is for free, not when a soul is up for grabs. I vow, you vow, we vow.
Easton Bradley Sin uses his power for his own sick pleasure. Like a typical lord, he never thought about the consequences of his actions. I grew up with him, obsessed over him, craved him. He was who I pictured when I imagined... Oh, wow. This blurb is a bit spicy. I ain't reading that on the internet. So this is the picture. Like, you can tell it's gonna be spicy. Like, this is the picture for the book. They're always a bit spicy, these covers, for some reason. So it's set in the world of the Lords, by the way, and that world was already introduced in the ritual, which I would recommend if you want to read this book. I would recommend the first one because the first one was really good and I really did enjoy it, but it is definitely a dark romance. Not quite as dark as like Haunting and Hunting Adeline, but I feel like those really set the bar, but it is really good. I'm gonna read a bit of this on the train and see what I feel like, but these triggers are making me nervous. Let's see, what am I reading right now? I'm annotating, I am really enjoying it. I'm at page 29 and I am really liking it. I'm flying through it so far. It's really good. It's a really good paced book. It seems like it's not a YA book. It seems like there's some high stakes, some seriousness in it. We've got loads of character ideas so far. I'm not going to say too much because I don't know enough to really say anything. I'm like 20 pages in. So we will read on, but I'm really enjoying it. I think an update is in order. I am really enjoying this book. It's really good. So I'm at page 61, so I've got that far through. Not loads, but I did really good about in the space of like maybe 30 minutes. 61 pages is pretty decent. I'm very much enjoying this. It's a really good book and I'm really enjoying the pacing. So the problem I've had with other books in the past is that it has taken forever to get to the plot. It has started instantly. So our main character is Scarlett and it's all from her perspective so far, and I'm pretty sure the whole thing's going to be first person from her perspective, one person perspective. So Scarlett is a girl who lives on this island and she's got a sister, and their dad isn't very nice. So their dad is like in charge of the isle, like he's like the governor or something, and he has a lot of power, but he's not a nice person. He's very abusive to them and very controlling. And this is like of a time of like it seems like Victorian outfits. So it is mentioned that she's wearing like a corset with like a big poofy dress on, so it's giving very much like a big bustle outfit. So it's that sort of outfits and costuming. Found out all about that and why they know about Caraval. We've also seen a little story about who Legend is, who is like the ringmaster, kind of like the person who is leading all this. He's got magic. We found out about like who he is and the stories about him that these girls have been told, and we've also seen a bit more about why they don't like their dad and why their dad is someone they don't trust. So everything's been set up very nicely. We've had quite a few letters, which I love, like letters and like written out things. I just adore it. So we've seen a couple from Legend and a couple from Scarlett, and so far it's very good. The pace is getting good and they've just gotten to the island where Caraval's being held. There was a big thing of how they got there and like it was dangerous, and I'm like, oh my god, it's only 61 pages in and we're already like high stakes. So I'm really enjoying it. It's really thrown me in, and it's one of those books that because it's high stakes from the start and the plot has started, you just don't want to put it down. So I put it down now because I have to go to bed. I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow but I'm going to pick it up tomorrow again and I'm going to get further into it. I'm really enjoying it. I don't want to rush it though, but it's really good. It is later on and I just want to say I'm on a different book. I can't lie to you. The Sinner, I don't quite know what it was about that book, but some of the topics in it were a bit weird. Like, I was only 10% into the book and we'd already had about 7 or 8 spice scenes, and it was all a bit much. It seemed very random, the plot was non-existent, and the spice scenes just seemed like they were in it for the sake of it, which I'm not keen on. I always wanted to be a reason behind things, so I wasn't enjoying that much. I decided to start the book that was the second most liked book for dark romance, and that is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. Now, I wanted to read this book for quite a while now, so I'm finally reading it. I am currently 30-ish pages in. Let me see, 34 pages, 11%. This book's about 300-ish pages. We're at 370 pages in total. This one does have dark romance and it's not as spicy as the other one. There aren't as many spice scenes, but I'm hoping there's more of a plot because that's what I'm hoping for. With the other one, I'll talk more about it tomorrow, but I just felt like The Sinner was very different to The Ritual. Like The Ritual had a very big plot, whereas The Sinner, it just seems a bit weird. So yeah, it's really put me off and I'm struggling to get into that book. I need to update you on this reading. I did a little update last night. I don't know how in depth I went because it was 2 in the morning, but we stopped reading The Sinner. I had to. It was getting too weird. Now when I say it was getting too weird, I mean that this book, the only words for it, this book was straight up talking about big ass age gaps, not in the way that I like them. She lived her life, the way she went about living her life was a bit weird for me. And what I mean by that is like, she had a very dramatic lifestyle where she would sleep around with loads of people, but in such an intense way, like loads of kinks and stuff, which, you know, fair dues. But then we find out that she's like a college student, and it's just like, this is so unrealistic. And I know that dark romances are not meant to be really realistic to it too. Like the stuff that in dark romances that I'm like, oh my god, in real life I'd be like, well, but obviously it's a dark romance, so you feel different about it. But with these books, I genuinely like, I don't understand what happened in The Sinner, because The Ritual was amazing. I think I gave it a 4.5. I really enjoyed that book. I thought it was great. I loved Riot, and is it Blakey? I think like Blakely or something. But I loved them too. I thought they were great, and I loved the storyline, the plot. It was really good. This one, the spice scenes are happening too quickly. The first spice scene happened within 2 chapters, and I was like, oh okay, we're going there. And I thought maybe we were gonna have that scene and then we were gonna have to wait a while. But then we had like a spice scene every chapter, and it was getting a bit too much. And then we saw the dynamic of what Sin is like in real life, and I don't know, the way he was written, it was giving like high school vibes. But then when he's got his mask on and he's a lord, he's like a 20-year-old, 30-year-old guy. Like it just seemed like they were 2 polar opposite people, and it was getting a bit too much for my head. Like I feel like my brain was getting a bit scrambled. Corking that, and I've gone on to the second book that you guys recommended me. So this one only got 36%, like 30-ish%, but it is the second one that got second place, and that is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. As of right now, I have read 14%. I've read 47 pages, which is really good for me, to be honest. Like to be honest, because last night I was just really put off from The Sinner. So considering I got into this book so quickly, I was very happy with myself. This book so far, I am liking. I feel like the writing style is more up my street. It's a little bit, I don't know if I want to say the word amateurish, but it's not complex writing at all. So it's pretty easy to get into, and it's more like bantery, this book, which is why I was a bit like, is this really a dark romance? I'm not getting dark romance vibes right now, but it seems more chill, whereas the last book tried to be so intense too quickly. So this book, we're following 2 characters. So the characters are Callum and Ada, and the one thing about this book that I will say actually has caught me off guard is the fact that there are pictures in this book. So what I mean by that is, I'll show you actually. There are drawings to help you visualize things. So we've got Ada's portrait. So this is what Ada looks like. And then we have also got a portrait of Ada in the library. We've got a picture of Callum as well, who Callum is our second main character. This is what he looks like. And I just felt that was so original. I've never seen things like that in books before, especially on my Kindle. Like I've never seen like actual pictures in the book. I'm trying to look for the picture of, there it is. So we also had a picture in the library scene. So there is a library scene in this book, and she was hiding from Callum, and look, there's little pictures. I felt like that was just so original, and I just wasn't expecting that, so I just wanted to mention that. So this book so far, we have got 2 different sides. So from what I'm aware, I read online, because I was looking for a blurb somewhere, I read online that we've got our 2 characters, Ada and, do I keep closing the book? Don't know. We've got our main characters, Ada and Callum. So Callum and Ada are from 2 different families, and you have got her last name. So it's the Callum Griffin
an Ada Gallo, that's what it is. So we've got the Griffin family and the Gallo family. So the Gallo family is made up of all boys apart from Ada, who is the girl and she's the youngest. She's the youngest or second youngest? I think she's the youngest. And then we have the, oh gosh, what are they called? I've forgotten. Griffin family, which is made up of 2 girls and 1 boy, the boy being the eldest, and that is Callum. So what I know is that this book is a forced romance, arranged marriage, that's what it is. So it'll be forced proximity. So Callum and Ada have to be in this forced arranged marriage, and they have to get along and just have this union because they need to unify the families together. They've been warring for ages, constantly at each other's throats. The kids are constantly winding each other up, and it's gonna eventually turn into something really big because they are mafia families as well. From what I've got from this is Callum's family is Irish and Ada's family is Italian. Families are very different to each other, they have very different values, but at the heart of it all, they both value family the most. We have just seen Sebastian and Ada deal with like a run-in with Callum and his bodyguard, and that was a scene and a half. Like, that was interesting, and I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Ada's definitely got like a spark about her. Like, she's definitely not afraid to step on people's toes and do what she needs to. So this book in total is 370 pages. I'm at 47 pages so far. I'd love to get to page 100 by tonight. Hopefully that's possible. I think it is. I haven't been reading them. It has honestly almost been like 2 weeks and I have not been drawn to Caraval at all. I don't know what it is about it. I feel like I've been in like a fantasy slump, and that is so common because fantasy books are very intense, and I've just finished ACOTAR, so I'm still a bit hung up over ACOTAR. So I don't know if starting Caraval as quick as I did was like the best move, but it's a move I did, and it's a book that you guys recommended, so that's how we're reading it. Brutal Prince as well, not doing the best with. We are honestly about 20% through, but I'm going to update you on what I have been reading. So I have kind of moved on and read some other books. So in the meantime, I did read 3 thriller books just for fun. I read Survive the Night, The Housemaid, and The Housemaid's Secret, just because I needed some fast-paced books, and Freida McFadden is great for her fast-paced books, and hers were the 2 Housemaid books. Survive the Night was not the best, but yeah. So I'm going to get back on track with Caraval right now. I don't know where I was up to, I'll be honest. Like, I ain't got a clue where I was up to. I'm gonna go on my Goodreads and check whereabouts I was up to, because I was enjoying this book. I just felt like I felt a bit like it was a bit slow for me. But that's not even true because things are happening. I genuinely do think that I probably was just in a fantasy slump. I'm just gonna be honest, I do think it's a fantasy slump. So I'm gonna sit now, I'm gonna eat my lunch, and I'm gonna read my book. I'm gonna put on Sarah Caroli? I'm not too sure how to say her name. I did a video actually of reading her 5-star reads and I actually really loved it. Anyway, that's a sideground. I'm gonna put on her for a bit because I love the little trio of Hayley, Destiny and Sarah. I always watch them and read my book at the same time because it feels like I've actually got friends who read. It feels like I've actually got friends. No, it feels like I actually have friends who read, because right now I actually only have one friend who's like an active, avid reader. I don't know. I don't know where I stopped because I'm not recognising a lot of this. I know I got past page 100, so we are like a good little chunk in. Not a big chunk though, so that's a bit like, oh. But I'm going to try and get into it further. We've not met Legend. We do know who Julian is. We've met him since the start. I was imagining somebody different, but then I looked at the fan art for it and it was a completely different person. So I'm now imagining that person. Okay, little update. So it's a little bit of time later. I've got a decent chunk into Caraval, so if you can see, I've got basically over halfway into this book now, which is really good. I am enjoying it more.
So Caraval is very much a fantasy, but it's not like any fantasy I've read before. It's not got loads of action. It's mainly got like riddles, and not everything is as it seems. That's the main thing that's like got me gripped. It's like you don't know what to trust and what not to trust. When I said this book wasn't gripping, absolute BS. My face just said otherwise. I've got this much left to read, this little section here, and I'm at page 276. So this morning I read, I think, 2 chapters, and I've currently just got into night 4 of Caraval. Caraval's only on for 5 days, so, or I think it might be 5 nights as well, but it's on for 5 days consecutively, and you have that much time to find what legend is hidden. And we're starting to see more higher stakes. So the stakes really started to get high, like people were dying. Well, initially it was, oh, there's magic, oh, things can go wrong with magic, and then we started to see like people are dying, not everything is as it seems. There are people who will do anything to win. We also saw how it's tricky when you're making deals. So you don't pay in money for anything. You pay in other stuff. So you can pay in favors, you can give your voice, you can give a day of your life. We've seen more of Juliet, wrong book series. We've seen more of Julian, and we've not been revealed everything about him. Like, I still don't quite know who he is and how he is so wrapped up into everything in Caraval, but we have found out more about his family and how he's connected, but we haven't seen everything. I finished Caraval. Like, I finished it. You might tell from my tone, like, I'm not as like, oh my god, I finished it, like I am with other books, because I'm a bit... Okay, I am underwhelmed. I saw so many people say online, oh my god, Caraval is amazing, blah 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 blah, and honestly it was good, but it was not amazing. I was not as hooked as I expected to be. I definitely think the cover art drew me in more than the story. I liked it when everything was going crazy. I was like, oh my god, and I did catch my reaction to a lot of the stuff that happened. Just as I said, stakes were high. By the end I was like, but they weren't really, were they? Like, realistically. It was good, I did like it, but I was definitely underwhelmed and a bit disappointed. I think some things I loved about this was the fact that so many bits are like physically written. Like, look, these are actual written notes from Legend and Scarlet. Overall, I think it was a decent book. I was enjoying it, but I feel like fantasies I usually give a 5-star, or at least higher than a 4, usually a 4.5 and higher, because I just love them so much. But this one I can only really give it a 4 because I did like it, but it was missing a lot for it to be a 5. So yeah. I need to go on to my last book for this video, which I'm probably going to start a bit tonight. I can't remember how far I was into this book, but I was reading Brutal Prince, which is a dark romance, mafia romance. So I'm 20% through, it says, and I'm about to start chapter 7, which is page 71 of 370. So not too far into it, but not like at the beginning. So that's decent. This is the first book in a series of like mafia romances. Okay, it's late. It's 1 AM. I'm really liking this book. I've not read loads, so I was at page 77. I'm now at page 140. Really, really good book. Definitely saucy, smutty, dark romance, morally incorrect. Loving it. the whole wedding was so good. Ada and Callum's like hatred for each other is so funny. We've had spicy scenes, so good. I feel like one of the good things about this book, like one of the best things, is there are illustrations. Yeah, there are illustrations of certain scenes. Like we saw Ada in a wedding dress. There's a cartoon image of her. Hello. I feel like I look really rough right now. I've just fell asleep for like an hour and 20 minutes. I am blonde, by the way. Like I just had my hair done and I got loads of highlights and I didn't realise how many she'd put in until after, and I was like, so an amazing job though. Like I love her stuff. I love what she does to my hair, but I just didn't realise until I got into the lighting of my own house, and I was like, big update. Like it was quite small because it was like 2 in the morning. I just finished watching Pirates of the Caribbean with my mum and I was tired, didn't want to wake people up, so it was a very small update. So I'm going to do a proper update right now. So I've got to I got to 64% of this book, which I think is amazing, and it's page 233 of 370. So the aim was to finish it today. However, my head is pounding. I need to take my contacts out because I don't know what's going on with my head, but I need sleep basically. I'm so tired, and I'm not going to read anymore tonight. Maybe if I feel a bit better tonight before bed, I might read a bit more then because I'm really liking this. The wedding between Ada and Callum. I thought it was so funny. So we saw the engagement party, which I really liked, and we saw that Ada and Callum really don't like each other. They can't stand each other. And it's not that they hate each other, but it's like a frenemies thing. Like they really do hate each other, but it's funny. It's in a banter way. And it's really funny because they're also really like important, serious mafia people, and it's just so funny the lengths that they'll go to like piss each other off. A picture of Ada in the wedding dress, and there was a picture of a spicy scene, a picture of another spicy scene, a picture of what Callum looks like, so we actually get an idea of what these characters look like, and I loved that. I don't think I've ever experienced that before, where characters have actually been drawn in these books. Right now it's really good, and it's so like contradicting, which I'm actually really enjoying, where the writing is great but it's not serious. So the serious topics obviously happen. So we've got like the Polish mafia, the Russian mafia, Irish and Italian, and we've got all that happening. Obviously that's serious, and like they'll kill people, and Callum has killed people before, but the banter between Callum and Ada is like something out of like a high school book. Like it's not immature, but it's like petty and it's funny. Okay, it's the next day. I finished Brittle Prince and I'm doing my makeup, but I just really want to talk about the book because I really enjoyed it. So just to update you on what actually happened when I finished it. So last night I said I wasn't going to read the book, but I did read up to page 288, because I thought if I get past 270, I've only got 100 pages left. And I don't know if it's just me, but when you see you've only got 100 pages left of a book, it almost like entices you to read more. It's like, I can finish this. This morning I woke up and honestly the first thing I didn't even go on my phone or anything. I've got into this habit of picking up my book as soon as I wake up, and I read at least 50 pages. And that's what I did. I started and I was thinking I'm just gonna read a bit, and then I got so into the book that I was just like, I can't put this down. So I finished it this morning. So I'm very, very happy that I finished it. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna rate it because of reasons I'm gonna mention in a minute. But I really, really enjoyed it. I can't lie, it was really good. I really loved, I can't lie, I really loved it. It was great. So we have our main two characters. These are Ada and Callum, and they are both from rivaling mafia families who have constantly been at each other's throats for years. We're talking like decades. Like people have died like from each family because of like fights they've had, and they don't want any more fights, they don't want any more blood spilt. And so the head of each family, the fathers of the families, decide that they're going to marry off two of their children together. So they decide on Ada because she's the most reckless, Callum because he's the eldest and he needs to like get his ass in gear. So we got a lot of like banter obviously between the two of them, and they obviously don't like each other, so we saw that, and it's just funny. And they didn't go to the length of actually trying to like kill each other, but they obviously wanted to inconvenience each other and annoy each other enough, because they're stuck with each other, they may as well like irritate each other. The banter reminded me genuinely of like the Twisted books. I did like the ending, I did like the way that we saw the relationship develop, and I just enjoyed all of it. And I enjoyed how like serious things would happen, but it was balanced out with the banter, because Ada's like an absolute firecracker. I will be going on to read the rest of the books. I thought that it was a really good book, and I'm very happy that I read it, because it's been on my TBR for a good few months now, and I've never been like interested to read it because nobody talks about it. I really enjoyed it, and right now I'm feeling like a 4 might be a bit too low, but a 4.75 obviously is way too high for me, because like that has to like really make me feel all the feels. I don't know, 4.5, 4.25. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I'm happy with that. I'm thinking back to other books that I've given 4.25s, and it's always been because they've just missed something, or like they've just missed something, but it's been so good. This book, it didn't miss anything. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. I know I rate all my books really high, but I don't see the point in rating low just so I can rate books low. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't see the point in giving a book that I adore just a 4, because it doesn't feel like a 4 to me. So I feel like just because the subject matter wasn't, you know, crazy, and the story wasn't like crazy long, I don't think it deserves to be any lower than a 4 just because of that. So I really like this book. I really adored it. I really adored it. I thought it was great. It was definitely up my street. I would definitely recommend it. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I don't care. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 because why not? And I will see you guys soon with another video. If you've got any video ideas, tell me down below, because I really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys pretty soon. Goodreads is linked below as always. That's it. Subscribe, like, and do all that stuff, because we're nearly at 700 subscribers, which is just so exciting. And I'll see you guys pretty soon.